What if your logic has never been complete because you've been ignoring a type of existence the human mind can't reach? And the explanation you're about to hear may finally give you clarity, perhaps for the very first time. Let's begin. God has always been a central theme in almost every spiritual tradition that has emerged and evolved throughout human history. From ancient civilizations along river valleys to modern societies in bustling cities, there is hardly any community that has lived without some concept of the transcendent. Their perspectives, of course, differ, shaped by geography, culture, language, and the intellectual frameworks of each society. Yet, one unbroken thread remains: the belief that there is a reality beyond the limits of human understanding. As Karen Armstrong, a renowned scholar of religion, once said, "Throughout history, human beings have never ceased seeking a meaning that lies beyond themselves." Unfortunately, however, our understanding of God often remains frozen in the forms inherited from the past, symbols, stories, and explanations that may have made sense in their time, but now sound like myths to many in the modern generation. When old language no longer answers the curiosity shaped by science and technology, God begins to appear irrelevant, illogical, or even unnecessary. Yet, as Albert Einstein reminded us, science without religion is lame, religion without science is blind. And the philosopher Immanuel Kant observed, "Reason has its limits, but it is precisely at those limits that awareness of the divine arises." Perhaps what we need is not to reject this heritage, but to read it anew, to understand it in a way that is more mature, more rational, and more aligned with the progress of our age. Only then do we avoid merely inheriting a belief; we revitalize it with clarity, depth, and renewed meaning.
Let us compare this with mathematical logic. Every generation possesses some level of numerical ability, yet that capacity evolves over time. There were eras in which humans could only count up to tens, then later hundreds, thousands, millions, and beyond. If someone living in a period where counting was limited to tens concluded that only numbers up to 10 exist and anything beyond that does not, the conclusion would clearly be false. The limits of one's ability do not define the limits of reality. Mathematics actually demonstrates the opposite. It acknowledges numbers that extend far beyond what the human mind can fully grasp, even reaching into ranges that cannot be completed by any act of counting. The concept of infinity is not a dogma nor a blind belief. It is the natural consequence of perfect logical reasoning, which recognizes that numbers cannot simply end because the human mind cannot enumerate them endlessly. In other words, mathematics teaches us that reality does not stop at the boundaries of our intellect. There are things whose existence must be acknowledged even when our minds cannot entirely comprehend them. And if, in mathematics, we readily accept realities that transcend our cognitive capacity, why should we be surprised when spiritual traditions speak of a reality that surpasses human understanding?
In mathematics, the numbers we can understand, the ones we can name and count, are merely a small portion of an endless numerical sequence. Our ability to grasp a part of that sequence is itself a clue that there are other parts beyond our reach. From this, the concept of infinity arises, not because we have seen all numbers, but because the structure of numbers logically requires the existence of something that surpasses the limits of our mind. This same logic applies to life.
What we consider real at this moment is only a small segment of a much longer process of reality. We live within a slice of time, a slice of experience, a slice of knowledge. What appears to us is not the whole, but only the portion that happens to fall within our reach. From this, the consequence becomes clear. If in mathematics, a small part of the pattern is enough to affirm the existence of something that transcends our thinking, then in life as well, the fragment of reality we perceive should point to the presence of another form of existence beyond the grasp of reason. Not because it must be accepted as dogma, but because such is the logical demand when we see only a fraction of the whole.
In mathematics, accepting the existence of infinite numbers is a necessity. Without the concept of infinity, the number system becomes flawed. Calculation loses its meaning and its logic collapses. Infinity is not an optional addition, but a foundation that keeps the entire structure of mathematics consistent. In life, the implications are far greater. If we believe that what exists is only what the mind can grasp, then it is as if the mind itself becomes the source of all existence. We forget that the mind cannot stand on its own. It arises as an effect of a cause we do not know, a cause that lies beyond the reach of the mind itself. Thus, the very existence of thought points to a reality higher than thought. Therefore, acknowledging a form of existence that transcends the intellect, what religion calls God, is not merely dogma or a belief imposed upon us. It is the natural consequence of logic itself. In fact, this awareness of a higher reality refines the way we think and deepens the way we live.
Thank you for watching. If this perspective gave you something to think about, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Do you have questions, objections, or ideas you'd like to add? I'd love to hear how you interpret this topic. Your comments help shape the next discussions. See you in the next video, and thank you for being part of this journey.